Hello, and my name is Hakon, and welcome back to another little Zoia Empress Effects Zoia tutorial. The Zoia, of course, is the patchable modular synthesizer in a nifty little box. And today I've got an unusual thing to show you. You might have, others might have done this before. I'm sure somebody has. But as usual, what I'm doing is I've got an idea for something I might want to try to make on the Zoya, and then I figure out how to do it. What I've done today is I've made Formant filters on the Zoya, and by that I mean that I've created a way to shape the sound to be like the vowels of human speech. And this is what it sounds like. Right. So, although not necessary, of course, in my example patch here, I've created a sequencer that actually just does a round robin of the different vowel sounds. I've got a keyboard for playing a C major scale, and every time the keyboard triggers a new note, it also goes to a new vowel. Of course, that is not really necessary for this to work, but that is just part of what I've been doing. So how does this work? I probably won't go into too much detail now because the ideas of Formant synthesis are actually quite complex, but I'm going to try to explain a little bit what's going on. First, I'll just run through different modules here in my patch. Let's see, what do we have? We have an oscillator, and it is set to sawtooth. And this kind of sound creation does work best with complex sounds like sawtooth. It doesn't work so well with sine waves or triangle waves, but sawtooth works really well. So that is the best sounding vowels from a basic oscillator. The basic workings of the patch are as follows. So the sound from the oscillator is sent to these three filters. Now these are state variable filters. I'll show you the setup here. And they are set to low pass off, high pass off, and band pass on, because what we need to create the Formant filters is band pass. Now, and the way this works is that the human ear, or rather the human brain, is extremely good at picking up different timbres. And by timbres, I mean the way that the spectrum of a sound is different to another sound. So when you have a sound created by anything, it could be a voice, could be a musical instrument, it has a fundamental tone and it has overtones that are multiples of the fundamental. But what distinguishes it from other sounds, other musical instruments, is the relationship between the different overtones. And those are known as formants. And it has to do with which of those overtones are perhaps boosted or attenuated, and the relationship between the different ones that are boosted or attenuated. And this creates a unique sound. That means we can distinguish between instruments, we can distinguish between different vowels, and also different human voices, for instance. And we are extremely good at that. Our brains are hardwired to be good at picking up those differences. So if you take a sound, a basic sound, and you boost or attenuate certain frequencies, that gives us actually vowels. And in the most sort of basic setup, you only need three distinct frequencies that are boosted or attenuated to create the effect of a vowel. You could do more, and it could be sort of more precise in how it is created to create a more lifelike effect, but just for a very basic Formant filter, you need 3 bands of bandpass. And in order for me, I've actually made 6 different vowel sounds in this patch, and so it's 6 steps on the step sequencer, and there are also 6 channels on the mixer down here. Sorry, not the mixer, on the switch down here. So when the step sequencer here goes through the different values that trigger different channels on the switch. And the way that works, a switch works by taking the number of steps here, and that is the number that you take the full range of 0 to 1 and divide by the number of steps. And this one has 6 steps, which means that the first channel is triggered when you have a channel select value of between 0 and 0.166 roughly. And this is an out switch, so it has a single input of set to 1 locally on the switch, and it sends it to 6 different channels. Now, what the channels do is that each of these channels, when they get an output, you can see they're all connected to the frequency selector on the filters. And if you look at the connection list here, they all have different connection strengths. So the first one here, it has a connection strength of 33% to the first filter, 63.8 to the second filter, and 67.7 to the third filter. The second one has 33.5% to the first filter, 49.8 to the second, and 63.5 to the third. So these numbers might seem a bit random, but they are actually the numbers that give us the exact frequencies that need to be bandpassed, to be boosted, in order for the sound to be shaped into different vowels. And in addition to the frequencies, we just look at it now. This is this is the, let's see, which was the active one now? It's the third one. Okay, so this is the third vowel, and it has a frequency of 400 hertz, 2000 hertz, and 2500 hertz. So those are the 3 frequencies that need to be boosted or to have the sound pass through a bandpass filter in order to create that vowel sound, which is the sound, I think. And also, in addition to the frequency, it also has different resonator settings. So the first one here has a resonance of 5, the second one has 20, and the third one has 50. Now these ones are the same for all the vowels. At least if you want to make it simple, you can use the same values for all the vowels. It seems to work rather well. And then you get the output of these. And one more step actually is needed as well to get the best vowel sound. And in order to do this, you need some of these to be attenuated by a certain amount. That is, the decibel level needs to be reduced. So these 3 go into an audio mixer, which isn't the only way to do that, but just for convenience now I'm using an audio mixer. So it has 3 channels of input, which is these 3. So the sound goes from the oscillator into 3 bandpass filters, and each of those has a specific frequency, and the set of 3 frequencies corresponds to a certain vowel, and it has a resonance that is common to all the vowels, and then each of them is sent to a mixer. So inputs here, and the first one is not attenuated, the second one is attenuated by 15 decibels, and the third one is attenuated by 9 decibels, and they do seem to work rather well. Now the output then from the audio mixer goes to a VCA. And that VCA is the one that is controlled by the ADSR envelope. So the vowel production of the audio happens first, and then it goes into an ADSR, or sorry, a VCA that is controlled by an ADSR. And from there, it goes into a reverb effect. And from the reverb effect, it goes to the audio output. The ADSR is triggered by the keyboard, and the step sequencer that chooses which vowel is being played is also selected from the keyboard by the gate output. So the gate output from the keyboard here is connected to the step sequencer gate and to the ADSR envelope. So it stays open as long as you press the key. So I hope that is relatively clear exactly how those formants work. It's just one of those things that if you analyze the sound of vowels in speech, those are the values that are boosted and therefore need to be the ones in the bandpass filter. Now, these particular values that I'm using, only seem to work for relatively low frequencies of bass notes or fundamental notes, but they do work rather well for those. So that is basically the whole patch. And of course, you could use this in other ways. You could select these different vowels manually, for instance, because I've automated it a bit now. You could have, for instance, a sort of radio button selection that you pick the different vowels you want to play. You could play random ones, and you can also try to use different ways. Or we can use a slew limiter, I suppose, and try to merge between them. So there are many different ways you can use those, but they are quite interesting, and they add a sort of human sound to a synthesizer, which makes them quite appealing, I think, to lots of people. So it's a little bit like somebody singing through a vocoder kind of effect. And yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. So if you found this useful, if you think this is something that you may want to use in your own patches, please let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will add this patch to patch storage to make it a little bit easier for people to get started with the Formant filters, because it is a bit of patching up with the different values from the switch here. As you can see, there are quite specific values for the different vowels. Yeah, I think that's really it for the moment. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time in my next Zoia tutorial, and goodbye for now. Bye bye.